his dad.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming out. A little disclaimer, if I get teared up, it's okay. It's okay for all of you. Father, before I begin, you and I have a little work to do, okay? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I may curse. I was raised by Barbara Jean and my father. CJ, don't say the words I say if I happen to curse. Anthony, Christian, I know you won't. It's funny. I went to a friend of mine's funeral, a friend of mine's father's funeral a couple weeks ago, and people don't talk about what happened, why people died. And it's always a secret, at a wake, at a funeral. And my dad died of dementia, okay? And anybody who's ever been affected by it, it's, they think of it as a terrible disease. But I look at it as God's mercy. I developed a philosophy years ago that God takes away our faculties, our abilities, when we can't handle certain things that are going on in the world. So if we don't like what we're seeing, God will take away our sight. If we don't like what we're hearing, God will take away what we hear. Will take away our hearing. And if we don't like what's going on in the world, he'll take away our memory. And in my dad's case, as many of you guys know, he was a throwback. He yearned for the days past. And our world has gotten crazy, and God was merciful in taking away his memory. As the course of that disease goes, it's memory, then it's physical ability. It's pretty rough, but nevertheless, it was merciful. So I want to talk to you guys about three things today. First is God's mercy and the end of Dad's life, okay? The second is Dad's legacy and eternal life. And the third is about focusing on what we have, not what we don't. With regards to God's mercy and the end of Dad's life, 40 years ago, 40 years ago, I can remember my dad saying, "Don't ever put me in a home. Kill me before you put me in a home." And, that was a tough legacy. That was a tough legacy for me and my sisters and my mom. And it was just, that mandate, in some ways was selfish. Certainly not thought out. But nevertheless, the last 5 years have been, it's been tough, I mean, everybody remembers my dad as a really good guy. But he got sick 5 years ago, and we started to see indications. And the reality is, when he got sick, Mom got sick, okay? Things got really hard. She became his caretaker 24/7. His life changed. They used to love to go out to dinner, used to love to play golf. They weren't able to do that anymore. And, Dad's passing was merciful. And I'm at peace with this, and all of you should be at peace with it. 2 or 3 weeks ago, my son Anthony was having a rough weekend in New Smyrna Beach. We're playing baseball, and as a coach, you have a commitment or loyalty to the team, just like my dad always did. And as a dad, you've got a commitment to your son as a dad. So, as Anthony's struggling through that weekend, I'm torn, and we finished the game on Sunday, and we had won, so we had a second game coming. And Anthony says, "Hey, Dad, can you take me to the cage? I want to go hit. I want to continue to work hard," which is my dad's legacy, right? So I turned to our head coach and I said, "Hey, Coach," I said, I got to go be a dad right now. So Anthony and I go in the cage, and I throw him a couple pitches, and he's all messed up. And with every swing, he grunts. Ball's hitting the top of the cage, whatever. And I started to cry. And I said, "Anthony, come here." And I said, there's times in life where dads can't do it for you. We can help you. We can tell you what we think you're doing wrong, but ultimately it's you. And, I always wondered how I would be upon my dad's passing. We've had, my dad's a really good guy, but we've had ups and downs. There's been times where we've been completely in tune with each other, and there's times that we've had estrangements. And I never knew how I would feel. And that day, as I was talking to my son, Dad's words came to me. He was tough. Dad was always tough, but he was always supportive. He was always out for all of our best interests. So, as I was talking to Anthony, I said, listen, this is something that only you can fix. Only you can continue to work hard and get better. And that's my dad's legacy, He, bear with me 1 second. In that moment, I came to grips with his eventual physical demise. But I also came to peace with my dad's a good guy. I'm not going to tell you he's great. He's no greater than anybody else here, okay? Good. We're all good people. And his intentions were always that. So I got that closure. And, there's, I missed something here, but when I was at Villanova, I was in a theology class, one of the few times I went to class. Hold on 1 second, I need to take this. Hey, Pop. What's going on? I'm giving you a eulogy. What are you doing? Port St. Lucie, Dad. I live in Port St. Lucie, Dad. I know it's cold up there, but I live in Port St. Lucie. Yeah. He, so, Dad wants to know what the weather is. Yeah. Hey, Dad, I really got to run. There's people waiting on me, but I appreciate the. Oh, yeah. No, I live in Port St. Lucie. Anyway, Dad, I got to go. I'll talk to you later. That is typical of the conversations. That I had with Dad in his waning days. He knew who I was, but he didn't know where I was. I hope he's not calling you. Because now we got issues now. So, if you're sad about Dad's passing, about Ralph's passing, understand that this was merciful. So I was telling a story before Dad called, and I was in Villanova. I was in a theology class, and Dr. Schultz was talking about heaven and hell, eternal life and damnation. And I was actually paying attention this day, and Dr. Schultz was an interesting guy. We had a 50-minute class, and he could only stay in it for about 20 minutes because he had to smoke like my dad. So every 20 minutes, he had to go out of the class. We got a 5-minute break. He went and smoked. He used to say, "Next year, I'm going to the land of Oz." He was going to Arizona because he had emphysema. So anyway, at the end of this class, everyone leaves, and Dr. Schultz is sitting there, and he was an ordained deacon. I said, "Dr. Schultz, I don't understand this heaven and hell thing. It doesn't make sense to me." And he says, "Close the door." So I closed the door. He says, "All right, listen. You can't tell the priest at Villanova that I'm telling you this, because they'll fire me, and I'll never be invited back." I said, "But heaven and hell is, in his opinion, on his theory, is how we live our lives. If you're doing the right thing every day, right, you're able to sleep well at night. And if you're not, okay, you can't sleep at night. You're in turmoil. It's really hard. And upon your death and upon your passing, if you've lived your life in hell, there's eternal life. And if you don't, eternal life in that people remember you. They remember the funny stories. They remember the lessons that you taught. If you're living your life in hell, upon your death, there's eternal damnation. Meaning, nobody wants to remember you. Nobody tells the funny story. Nobody cares. I'm confident with my dad's legacy. He lived life in heaven. He cared about everybody. And his eternal life will live in me, my kids, my nephews, and I think a lot of you. So the last thing I want to talk about is focusing on what we have versus what we don't. When my dad passed, I asked my sisters, I wasn't here, I don't have a lot of the photo albums. I said, "Hey, can you send me some photos of me on the baseball field with Dad?" Dad was coaching, and we'd go down to spring training in Florida, and so he sends those photos to me, or they send those photos over to me, and I go through what I have and all those memories. And as a kid, we weren't rich, we weren't poor. We just lived. And Dad's involvement in our lives was really, really meaningful. And I called Sophia and Anthony into my room last night, and I said, "Hey," or yesterday morning, I said, "Hey, I want to talk to you guys about something." So often in today's day and age, we focus on what everyone else is doing, right? Facebook, on any given weekend, somebody's off in the Bahamas, they're in Vail, they're in Switzerland, they're in France. I said, as kids, right, or as adults, we need to be able to stay in our lane. Focus on what we do and love what we do. We had a really good childhood and a really good life. And, Dad did that really, really well. So the point there is stay in your lane. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Appreciate what God has given you. Because it really is only me and God. Mom and God, okay? In the end, there's nobody. Except for God. Have that faith. Understand that, yes, Dad has passed, but this is a process, and you can all take something away from it. So the conclusion is, Dad's death, passing from the physical to the to the spiritual, was merciful. It's good. Embrace that. It's okay. Mom's going to be okay. Michelle's going to be okay. Lisa's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. My kids are going to be okay. Because he lived life right. Dad's legacy. You know, again, he left us in the physical, but never in spirit. His life will live on, just like all of yours will live on. And lastly, focus on what we have, not what we don't. You know, got friends that, you know, private jet, and they fly here and they fly there, and other people that, you know, have nothing, you know. Give what we can of ourselves and live life right. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for coming. I really, really appreciate it on behalf of my family, immediate family. I can't say enough. You know, this is a tribute to my dad's greatness in this world, you know, it's really a special moment for me. We had hundreds of people come through here last night. All of you that are here today, and it's a tribute to his greatness. Thank you very much.
Don, you did a beautiful job.
Very good.